paying tax. I think I make that point. He says we need as many charges, criminal charges as possible. I of course agree with that, but we shouldn't do down the civil action and the civil penalties that the Revenue and Customs take. They've got 1,100 cases going through. They can charge up to 300% of the money. On the issue, he said, have we taken this agenda far enough? Frankly, I would say this is the first country in the G7, in the G20, to make tax and transparency the #1 issue at a G8 or a G20. No one had done it before. We've now done it, and it's permanently on the agenda, and you see these permanent improvements. I don't think he's being fair on the Crown dependencies and the overseas territories. I think for years there was a reputational and a potentially real problem. They have done a huge amount to address that. They're now better placed than other similar jurisdictions, and as I said, there are states in the United States of America that have less disclosure and less transparency than they do. So let's not be unfair on Crown dependencies and overseas territories, and certainly on this side of the House, we're proud that they're part of our family of nations. In terms of Scottish trusts and transparency, we're very happy to work with and help the devolved administrations in every way we can. Again, we're happy to work with and are working with European partners on the issue of trust. The point I was making is we would not have made any progress on beneficial ownership if we included trusts in that debate in the G8. But we did make progress for the reason we give. In terms of the beneficial ownership information in the Crown dependencies and overseas territories, he's asking who will it be available to. It will initially be available to law enforcement agencies, including our own, crucially. They are not producing public registers yet. I want them to, but let's be frank, there's only about 3 countries in the world, including Britain now, that have these public ownership registers. And if we had tried to push that onto the Crown dependencies straight away, I think we would not have got nearly as far as we have got today. In terms of tax treaties, I'm keen we sign as many as possible, and in terms of cabinet ministers, no. I think the current rules for registering members' interests are right, but as I've said, in the case of prime ministers and chancellors, we are going further.
John Redwood. According to the official ABR forecasts, we are likely to lose 7.3 billion of tax revenue to multinational companies over the ensuing 5 years because they will sue us in court and get the European Court of Justice to overturn the taxes we wish to impose, with another 35 billion at risk. What can we do here to make sure those companies pay their fair amounts, which this Parliament wants, but the ECJ doesn't?
Well, we took a whole series of actions in the budget, and of course we have the diverted profit tax, which is a tremendous weapon for making sure these companies pay their tax in the jurisdictions where they are rightly earning the money. And I think this tool of being able to exchange tax information and having a common reporting standard, which is what we set off in train in 2013, that will make the biggest difference.
Nick Hillier.
Speaker, one of the main benefits of the journalism that uncovered the Panama Papers was that it shone sunlight to areas that some people didn't want it to go. The Prime Minister makes great play that his government has done a great deal to improve corporate tax transparency, but it's nowhere near enough. When is he going to step up and make sure that corporates can publish their tax information so that everybody, the public, can see where tax is being paid?
Well, what I'd say to the Honourable Lady is, look, I'm not saying we have a perfect record, but I think this government has done more than any previous government to make this happen. But I will answer her very directly. Look, of course, our system is based on full disclosure by companies to the revenue, but a basic deal of taxpayer confidentiality between companies and the revenue. That is the way our system and most other systems work. And that's why the common reporting standards and the exchange of information between tax jurisdictions is so important, to make sure these companies are telling the truth to us and telling the truth to other jurisdictions. And it's only when that happens that we'll be able to recover the money.
Sir Eric Pickle.
The beneficial ownership register that comes on place in just over 6 weeks' time, plus the announcement that the Prime Minister has made with regard to Crown dependencies and the new Criminal Act, will do much to deal with tax evasion. But if the House will forgive me, it will do far more to ensure that the proceeds of crime, the proceeds of terrorism, can't be laundered through this jurisdiction, and that's something to be welcomed. But I have to tell that the Prime Minister has been, I think we should tick him off a little bit.